All right, so welcome back. This is Inside Politics. Oh, that's an Inside Politics. Sorry, Inside Pages. I'm so sorry about my apologies. So this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. Now, Inside Pages looks a bit different today because typically we do panel discussions, but today is different. Today we're doing personality interviews. It's because of the times and the issues that have come up in the course of the week. And we also feel that sometimes we need to give you a variety. We can't always have NPP, NDC, and then there's a lot of, nya here, and then, so, people, there are Ghanaians who have very, very, very important, things that they want to say, but we need to also give them the platform to come and say these things. And that's why this morning, I'm glad to say that I've been joined by Mr. Jermaine Nkrumah. Mr. Jermaine Nkrumah is the chairman of the Global Diaspora Council. He's also a former director of the communications of NPP USA. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. He's a man who is concerned about the state of affairs within the New Patriotic Party. He thinks that the New Patriotic Party can do things much better. He thinks that the New Patriotic Party stands at the crossroads and something drastic must happen. But he hasn't told me exactly what these issues are, and that's why he's joined me this morning. It's going to be a very brief interview, 20-25 minutes. He's going to be out of town. Hopefully when he's back, we can expand the conversation and look at specific issues. But for now, it's about broad strokes. And that's why it's here. So 0249-155-646, 0249-155-646. My name is Audu Moro. Now, Mr. Jermaine Nkrumah, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for
You and I have had a series of conversations off record, and I think that it leaves me with no doubt that you're somebody who's very passionate about this country.
Absolutely.
And you're also very worried and deeply concerned about the trajectory, the direction in which we're going, and how you think that we have to pause and do a rethink and to ask ourselves whether we're happy with the direction we're going. And it's not just about you, but it's about the generation yet unborn. And if we don't start to have this very honest conversations about where we're headed, you don't like what you're seeing. The future doesn't look that good unless we start being truthful to ourselves and start doing things differently, especially because of where you've lived and almost all your life. So why do you think that this topic is? So first of all, so who are you? First of all, who are you? Tell us a bit about yourself briefly.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Moro, you have a great show and a nice mouthpiece.
Thank you very much.
I watch you all the time. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah.
Right.
I've lived the better part of my life in the United States, as you said.
Right.
And I was communication director for NPP North America when it was United States and Canada, and then later on NPP USA. So I've been with the party for quite a while. My new hat that I'm wearing right now is the Global Diaspora Council.
Right.
And the global spells with GH.
Right.
LOB. So Global Diaspora Council is a collection of Ghanaian think tanks around the globe.
Okay.
We're in about 18 countries.
Okay.
And so being the diaspora advocate that I have been for the most part of my, political engagement, I see that the diaspora piece is perhaps the missing link between where Ghana is and the next level.
Were you just born into the New Patriotic Party tradition, or you, growing up, you bought into the values and the ethos or the principles or the ideology that the party stood for, and that's why you accepted it wholeheartedly? Or me out to NPP, so it doesn't matter what happens, I'm good to go. What was it that made you embrace the New Patriotic Party?
Well,
before we even come to ask about why do you think this conversation is important, so you can do two in one.
Okay.
Two questions in one, yeah.
Well, thanks for that. For me, I wasn't born into the NPP.
Okay.
My journey started in 1999. In fact, I was with a group of folks who were talking about, at that time, Rawlings victimizing anyone who contributed to NPP. I think Apia Minka, bless his soul, was a victim of some of those. And so I actually wrote a letter to the Ghanaian community in Houston and said, look, if Rawlings just came here and touted Ghana's democratic credentials, But why is it that when anybody contributes to the opposing party, he's victimized? So
Okay.
we formed what at the time we called Citizens for Competitive Politics in Ghana.
Okay.
And we met, we deliberated, we were able to form a group, and then out of that we formed Ghana 2000 in Houston. And that ultimately became the Houston chapter
Okay.
of the NPP USA. So I've been with the party for a while and played several roles. But I think there's not a soul in the party today who's happy with what's going on.
Right.
Both the winning side and the side that came up short. Okay.
Why? What's happening?
I think this primary election was too acrimonious. I think it was too bruising. I don't believe I've seen it like that before. A family fight is not supposed to be like that. But be that as it may, this is where we are. So I believe that there has to be a very quick period of reconciliation. And I use the word family. I don't use it loosely because we are a family. And for some reason, it got bruising, got out of hand. Some people got hurt. I think we have an opportunity to come together.
But first, I think before you prescribe what you think the solution would be, don't you think it's also important for you to diagnose exactly what the cause of the problem is? Which is, you say this is the most divisive, this is the most caustic, perhaps the most acrimonious. Why? I mean,
I think money
what have you
had a lot to
identified
do.
what the problem is?
See, money had a lot to do with that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
This was driven too much by money. And you see, and that's primarily the reason why I'm here, because I think we have an opportunity to take the money out of, the influence of money out of the primary system. Right. And, you know, we suggested it back in 2009. I think back then, Nkrumah was chairman. But here's how it started. See, NPP USA, I was the election committee chair. 3 people, myself, Dr. Augustine Blay, who's now the chief of staff of the vice president, and then Obaya, who's now the NPP USA chair. I think up until the 2009 election, every time we elected national executive, we did so at the National Congress. We all meet at a place, whether it's Philly or New York or whatever. And those who attended the Congress were the ones who were able to vote. But this particular one, we said, well, it's not right that somebody is a paid-up member, but it's not able to come to Denver. We're going to Denver, Colorado. So Augustine Blay actually designed a portal for everybody to be able to vote online before we got to the Congress. So for the first time in 2009, every single member was able to vote. And so once that happened, it went flawlessly. So the idea came at Denver that why don't we make the norm, 1 member, 1 vote. And so the new chairman, Nana J. Yeboah, put together guys who are smarter than I am, put this idea together. We developed what we call OMOV, 1 member, 1 vote. So they sent me to bring it to the party. So I remember meeting with Chairman Nkrumah, and what he said was, Jack, your deal, we've used the concept of your deal to negotiate an expanded delegate system. So back then, I think it was 2004 delegates that selected, and we were able to expand it to the current 208,000 plus. Yeah. At that time, we felt the thinking was, that will solve the money problem, because at that time you only needed to, sort people, 2,000 people. Now 208,000. How are you going to do all that? Well, 14 plus years later, we see that problem wasn't solved, right? And so
it's created its own set of problems.
Exactly. So I came here to try and push the idea of OMOV again, 1 member, 1 vote. And I know people say 1 man, 1 vote. No, we have a lot of women in this part. So It almost
One member.
stands for one member, one vote.
One vote.
I think is there a time to revisit it? That time is now, because if you look at the membership or people who are affiliated with the NPP, easily you're pushing about 4 million plus, right? And so
These are people you say are card-bearing members of the party.
well, I mean,
Paying
card-bearing.
dues.
Well, let's start with those
Dues
who are
paying
affiliated.
members.
Yeah,
Yes.
those who like NPP. And not
Yes.
everybody who likes NPP will be a card-bearing member.
Yes.
Okay, but if you do an estimation and the card-bearing members are
Let's
around,
say 3 million.
let's say 3 million.
Yes.
That's a long stretch from 208,000.
I totally agree.
And
with
I
you.
think
Would see how you
anybody
want to pay
running
3 million
to even the idea that I'm going to try to induce 3
not
million,
possible.
it's not possible.
It's not possible.
And so I think that would take the money situation out,
Okay. Okay.
you know. But I think before we get there, we have an election coming up, 2024. And with what I know, what I'm hearing within the trenches,
All right.
there's a lot of acrimony, no doubt. So what is the party going to do to bring everybody under the table?
It would heal. Time
Heal.
heals.
Down to heal.
I mean, do you think that the party must necessarily go on this healing project, or time will just naturally heal these wounds? You don't necessarily have to bother yourself. You don't need to
No,
worry.
not this time. I think this time the hurt
different ball
was
game
deep.
this time
It was deep. I think, I mean, from our side, I'm looking at what's going on, and I think Honorable Kennedy Japan was bruised pretty badly, unfairly. And I know people talk about what he, you know, the utterances and stuff, but when you really look down, right, it takes two to tango. It takes two to. I've never seen him just wake up in the morning and start blabbing away at somebody. Something has to cause a reaction. And so, was he fairly treated in this process? There's nobody in the party who truly believes he was. And so, if that is the case, and there is a general belief that he holds the key, his support base is critical for NPP breaking the 8. If there is that belief, then what do? You have to make your overtures to him meaningful. You have to. It has to be credible. It cannot be like, oh yeah, he's a party member, everything is going to be all right. We have 1 year, he'll get over it. No, I think it's deeper than that. And that's why, and I truly believe that that conversation has already started. So
Right.
we'll see what happens.
I see. But two key things that you've established in this conversation. The first one has got to do with the fact that this has been one of the most, let me use your own words, one of the most acrimonious internal contests that you've ever experienced since '92, when you've been an active member of the party. And you're saying that this is different, and so the party must take the bull by the horn and embark on this healing process as quickly as possible, because you're dealing with somebody who has been able to win close to 37%. This is not somebody you certainly can do away with,
Right.
or you can wish away. He commands quite a substantial
and don't forget,
numbers within the party. But here's the thing, and you know, I would wish this wasn't just about Ken, because we're talking generally about what the NPP must do going forward. But of course, you've also mentioned the role that money, financial inducements have played in this business, on this enterprise. But you just heard, when you're sitting here, when I asked Frederick Opariansa, who's a key campaign member of the Dr. Mahmoud Bamia campaign, and he talks about the fact that yes, it's a source of worry, but it's almost as if it's a necessary evil, because people have to move. People have to go and vote for you. Some of them don't even have a penny to feed, and yet they are delegates. And so it's almost as if you can't do anything about it. If you want the person to vote for you, you have to transport the person. And not just transporting the person is going to be in a queue for a while. The person must eat. So if that logic is anything to go by, then what it means is, even if we expand this to 10 million membership activity.
It's not
You've
gonna
got to find a way anyway, even if you need to decentralize it, to make sure that somebody is able to move from point A to point B to vote for the party.
Well, I mean,
It's like you can't do anything about it.
no, yes, you can. See, when you call a group of people to meet, to talk about to hear your message,
Yeah, you don't pay them.
there's a difference between giving them TNT.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And there's a difference between actually
Paying them to
paying
vote for
them.
you.
You see what I'm saying? And the TNT piece, if you bring a stadium full of people, you're obviously not going to be able to give everybody TNT, right? But the logic is the larger the pool, the less the influence of money. As for that one, I don't know how anybody can possibly debate that. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, the acrimony that happened is real. If you go back to 2008, what this party experienced, the empathy alone was able to sink the party. And whatever acrimony that existed in 2008, compare that to now, and you be the judge. So the apathy right now within the NPP, if that problem is not solved, we can forget 2024. Okay? And if you see, you have to understand the man controls the grassroots. And this grassroots right now, they're sitting there waiting. They're waiting for how he'll be treated. And I'm sure some of the demands that he's going to make to the party would include how the grassroots, if the party is going to put systems in place to actually include the grassroots when it's in power.
But there's a difficulty. That's a difficulty, Jermaine, because he doesn't believe in the Dr. Mahmoud Bamia leadership. He says there's no way Dr. Mahmoud Bamia can beat John Dramani Mahama. How is he going to be campaigning for him?
Hang on.
Isn't that a difficulty there? Isn't there a challenge there?
Let me tell you, unlike a lot of people, unlike conventional wisdom, I happen to think that this MPP government has not done badly at all. Okay. And I have the stats to prove it, okay?
Now you're talking government. You're not talking party. You're talking government.
Yeah. And you see the MPP saying, look, this campaign, 2024, must be a referendum not on this party, but a referendum on Mahama. And people will say, oh, how?
He's not in government. How's he going to referendum on him?
But if Nanado was running again, then definitely it would be a referendum on him. He's not running again.
Right.
And it's the vice president who says he has a new vision that's running again.
Yeah.
So if you're going to test the referendum, wouldn't you want to test it on someone who has done it
usually
before?
there's a referendum on incumbent. There's no referendum on opposition party.
Well, there's no incumbent in this race.
Yeah, but it's an incumbent. But Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is a...
No, he's not an incumbent. He's not an incumbent.
Really?
Yeah, he's not an incumbent.
But let's not be distracted because we're here to talk about something else.
Right.
But finally, before you take leave of us, Jermaine, you talked about money being a big factor in these elections, but also about the psyche of the people being a factor in these elections, because the people are saying we need to give the position to Enona Khan. Because we're sick and tired of people calling us an Akan party. We have to give it to Enona Khan. We look around, we think our best bet is Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. Yeah, never mind some of the stuff that he said in the past and how it's going to be. It's okay. And you hear the MPP say, well, we're coming up against John Dramani Mahama, who himself will have some questions to answer. And so really and truly, we're not too bothered. So would you say that, would it be right for you to just reduce everything to money and not also the psyche?
First and foremost.
Which is that, yes, Ken, we know you can do the job, but we don't think that we need an Akan candidate now. We need a non-Akan candidate, and that's Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. You don't want to waste that out? You don't think that must have worked out? And in principle, do you even think that in principle it's the kind of campaign that we must be waging, which is that as a political party, we need to start looking at spreading the leadership across?
I don't believe that. Here's why.
Why? Why don't you believe
I don't believe that. When you sign on to democracy,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
You sign on to competition.
Yes.
Pure and simple.
Yes.
And the Dr. Bamia that I know, and I know him very well.
Yes. Loves competition.
Yes, you have to. Because this is a guy that's an intellectual.
Yes.
He has to make the argument for his intellect and his own ability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he said anything about I'm a northerner, that's political talk. Deep down, he knew that I have what it takes to be.
Right.
Now, let's be clear about something. If it's democracy and it's political competition,
Yes.
may the best man win. That's what it should be about.
Yeah, but
Otherwise,
but competence is not enough in our kind of politics.
well, hang on.
Ethno-religious
That's
factor
where
is
we
massive.
That's where we missed the boat.
How we missed the boat?
On that tangent.
Yes.
On that tangent.
Yes.
Let's just do this. Let's rotate like the Swiss used to do. Let's rotate leadership. From now, going to he's from where? Northeast, right?
Yes.
Okay, after that, let's look for somebody from Western North. Next time, let's look for. I mean, come on, is that democracy? You can't use that as a
But that's
judge.
our democracy. We're Africans. We're very
Oh,
we're
so
big on
we-
tribe. We're big on religion. You know,
I'm sorry.
that's our democracy.
No.
You don't like this type of
when
democracy.
we make that argument, we cheapen democracy.
Really?
That's my problem. Yes, we do. So do you want to tell me that? Look, just the argument. Now, okay, now that we have the North, okay, somebody will now make the argument. Okay, next time it has to be somebody from Volta.
Yes, why
Then what
not?
are you going to say?
Yeah, why not?
So you go on the street in Volta and pick somebody just because he's from there.
You've
whether
got to
he
be
has a
deliberate
qualifi-
about it. You've got to be intentional about it. It's just like development. You've got to be intentional about it.
I just don't believe that. Though.
You don't believe in that?
No, I don't.
Let's move on.
Listen.
Just final question. When you check this internal context, it was quite clear that there was a lot of support from the government machinery. Is this something you have a problem with in principle? Whether it was for Ken, whether it was for Dr. Kwekufie, in principle, where you see government ministers and MCs, DCEs, MPs, blah, blah, in principle, is there anything wrong with that?
I think so. Here's what I think. If it's a true competition, right? Look, if there are 10 of us here, we went to a restaurant, and the meal is rice, right? You might want wache. I may want fried rice. Somebody might want jollof rice.
Tuzafi.
At the end of the day, we're all eating rice, right?
Yeah.
I don't see how you go to a restaurant and you say, well, the president or whoever is the power player likes wache, so whether you like this or not, all of us are eating wache. Yeah. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it was no accident to me that everybody sort of told one lie.
Right.
And if we're talking about true competition, and you see, you said something that this is Africa. Yeah. And when I come back and I hear people, oh, Ghana, they're sunny, and this is Ghana. Look, Ghana is a major player on the world stage, believe it or not. Or at least we can be, but we're not going to be like that if we keep saying that Ghana, we trivialize, oh, Ghana, mediocrity. That's what Ghana. Look, I was going to go into some of the statistics here. Do you know that when they talk about the economy is bad and everything, the city over the last 7 years has depreciated on average 26.2% annually.
Fact.
And the Mahama annually 28.2. So they're right there. Now, let's compare it to the region, Nigeria. And West Africa is 14 countries, majority of them Francophone. They're tied at the hip with France. When you look at the 5 countries, Anglophone countries, the main economics are Ghana and Nigeria. Well, within the same period, post-COVID, Nigeria's currency depreciated on average 81.8%, the Naira. And ours depreciated 26 point. And we're facing the same things. The only thing that makes this economy the way it is, in my opinion, is the inflation factor.
True.
And the inflation, in my opinion, if we had time, I would prove to you that it's artificial.
Right.
Because it doesn't jive if we're an importing economy and the city depreciates by a certain margin.
Right.
the inflation is supposed to go along with it. How inflation went from below 10% pre-COVID to now 43% post-COVID doesn't make sense.
I get it, but we're back to the issue about establishment support. So I was asking about establishment support, and you say in principle you have a problem with that because it doesn't make the field level, doesn't it? The playing field doesn't make it level. I mean, I was asking about establishment support where you have situations where government officials, and that's what I was asking, whether in principle you think it's a good idea. Were you saying it's not a good idea?
No, I mean, it never is. It never is. And I know the president came out and say, look, I want anybody to choose whatever they want, right?
He doesn't support
But there's got to be something within the back channels that got everybody supporting one candidate. And wherever you stand, it just did not look right. It didn't look like the playing field was level. On the platform chats, whenever someone would criticize the vice president, everybody would jump on. Oh, wait. When he becomes the candidate, the NDC will use it against. But whenever somebody criticized Ken, there was no such pushback. So it's almost like, he can. Nobody asked the question, well, if Ken wins, the NDC will use it against. So the whole thing was uncomfortable.
I get it.
And
these are the reasons why I think that the healing process must.
And I think as a party that the NPP that I know,
right,
intellectual, whatever we're better than that.
Okay.
And I think moving forward, I have no doubt
These are the things that the party
we'll
must
learn
watch.
from this and do better.
Oh well, I wish we could have an hour. Unfortunately, we don't have all day. But thank you so very much for making time to join us today. And
but I want to end with this.
Right, sure.
The NPP is not the economy is not a disadvantage.
Okay.
Argument for NPP.
That's fine.
Statistically,
there'll be time. There's going to be fun. The whole of next year is going to be the talk and the conversation is going to be about the economy, and I'm sure that's when people actually jump into the fray and defend the record of this government.
Absolutely.
Thank you so very much, Jermaine Nkrumah, for your time. Jermaine Nkrumah is a passionate NPP member, also passionate Ghanaian as well. He believes that we have to reset our political architecture. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere. And he's given us 3 reasons why. I don't want to repeat them. But anyway, I want to thank you very much for that.